It looks like the pressure on the government has finally come through, and they've realised that actually they're not going to get away with cancelling local elections because it is totally undemocratic.
We've won, which is fantastic. I think the pressure from reformers played a huge part in this decision. Clearly, they didn't think this was going to stand up in court later this week, and they've made that decision early. Great news for millions of residents who were going to be set to not be able to have their say. If there are pressures on local government in terms of holding elections and resources and everything, it's because of decisions that the government have made, and people have a right to have their say and make their voice heard on that.
Now, this, of course, was going to be a fairly significant legal action launched by the Reform Party. Ben, can you just tell us exactly what were the grounds that were being brought by your party? Clearly, it had a good chance of winning.
It was going to win, and that's why the government have had that legal advice and changed that early. I don't think the grounds are too difficult to understand. Inevitably, we live in a democracy, the home of democracy. Arguably, these elections have been slated, particularly in those areas where they've already been cancelled last year. They're being cancelled again. That's unprecedented. And this is not a country that should be known for those kinds of actions, for cancelling elections, for cancelling residents' voices. And there is very little reason that you can see from a central government perspective other than they think they're going to lose, particularly in those areas that were cancelled. Reform were set to do and will now, I hope, do really well in those places.
But also, I mean, the Labour Party might still win back some of their seats, but it was more the sort of undemocratic nature of it and the direction of travel, which was rather unsavoury, really. The excuse really wasn't good enough. Do you think that this is the 15th U-turn for Sir Keir Starmer? What do you think in terms of where he is, in terms of the strength he has within his party now? Has this significantly weakened him?
It definitely has. I mean, there are some running themes here, aren't there? First, to point at people and talk about people being fascists whilst scrapping jury trials, cancelling elections, all the things you would expect from those kinds of governments. And at the same time, as you say, marching people up the hill. I heard you say before, Tom, and marching them back down again. I've been there in governments that are sending MPs out to defend the indefensible, and then how awful you feel and how ridiculous you feel when the government then backtracks and makes you look a fool. That's happened over and over again. And after a while, people just stop going out and defending it because they don't trust that line's going to hold, a day or 2 days later.